Now, I think the straw that broke the camel's back when I came to the realization that there was nothing I could really do further with my wife, and I really, at this point, had no hope of her ever recovering from alcohol use disorder. If this is the first time you're seeing me, this may not make a whole lot of sense, but I was married for 25 years and my wife passed away from alcohol use disorder a little over 4.5 years ago. There was one incident, it was really the last fall of her life. This would have been the fall of 2019. And my son called me up. He was in college. We had dropped him off up in college in September, and this was around November, about 2 months later. And he goes, "Dad, I went into my college fund, and it doesn't seem like there's any money in there." And I said, "What are you talking about?" I mean, I had set aside like $3,000 so we would have some money for incidentals, books, and some, food, just from basic stuff. He said, "No, it's zero. There's nothing in the account." And as I looked at it, he said, "There's all these little amounts that have been coming out for the last 2 or 3 months." And I was just like so taken back. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And then I stepped back and I went, "Oh my God, your mother must have found access to your bank account." So that's really what happened. And I found out later that she had been buying wine and Ubers and DoorDashes, cases of beer and stuff to our home when I was working, and that's where the alcohol was coming because she had no other access to any other account, and somehow she had found out my son's account to his college fund, and she completely cleaned it dry so that she could get alcohol. And I remember running downstairs after that conversation with my son, and I was just beside myself with anger. It's almost like the feeling of being raped, to be honest with you. Very similar. It was just so astonishing and such a betrayal. And I remember running downstairs, or whenever I got home. I just remember coming home and she was passed out on the couch. I couldn't even have a conversation with her about it. And I can remember sitting in the chair across from her, and I realized, yeah, it's time to get a lawyer. I mean, this has been beyond human endurance. And it's time for an exit plan. It probably should have been quite a long behind this, but I just wanted to get my son into college, and then I was plan B, and I realized then it was time for plan B. It was time to set up my wife so she would be able to have some sort of life, certainly away from myself and our son. And really, again, I want to point out, this isn't to disparage my wife, who was, obviously a stage 4 alcoholic. But I realized I was dealing with someone who was very mentally ill. And you get to the point where, as a caretaker, maybe you need to take care of yourself. And I know a lot of families go through this. I know this is identifiable for a lot of families when they're at a point where you have no other options. There's no place else to go or to do. And generally speaking, there really is no hope. I know people always want to say, well, there's always hope. I'd have to disagree with you. Comes a point where your only hope is to take care of your own mental health. And if you find yourself in this situation as a family member, I hope you are aware enough to take care of yourself, because your mental health is certainly just as important as the family member who has alcohol use disorder. And of course, if you know the end of the story, I mean, I put my wife into a rehab in January, and she fell down a flight of stairs. The original plan was to have her go to a rehab for 30 days, and then I was going to put her into a sober living facility for a year and then legally part ways. But unfortunately, she fell down a flight of stairs at the rehab, and it was just a really brutal, horrible time for her and for all of us. But I tell this story really so people will, maybe be taken aback and realize, that there needs to be an explanation of how things are going to end. And I hope it acts as a deterrent for yourself, either as an someone suffering from alcohol use disorder or their family members. And again, if you're ready to work with me one-on-one, click on the link above in the link tree, set up a Calendly call. I've helped thousands of alcoholics, and just as importantly, I've helped their families. Okay, so I like people who are ready to change their lives, because we have a complete plan to get you there. And again, please like, share, and comment. We also have the Facebook group called There's an Alcoholic in the Family that we're starting to grow. The first one's a little bit filled up, so I started a second one. That's starting to grow. And again, I go live every night, 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday. I guess that would be East Coast, would be 9 o'clock. And again, thanks for listening.